Hi, self-awareness. This show is about healing on all levels, thought-provoking, and it's about learning and remembering who you really are. God and goddesses, reclaiming your divine power on all levels. Learning and understanding unconditional love, true forgiveness, spiritual wealth, reverse aging, eating healthy, and attracting your divine partner. Learning and understanding or understanding karma and dharma, raising your vibration, learning about the 13 main chakra centers, the power of your subconscious and superconscious mind, universal laws, the fifth dimension, the Kundalini awakening that some people call spiritual awakening, the great shift, the golden age. You will understand more about past lives and how to activate your dormant DNA. Past life regression, death and resurrection, the power of true prayer, and so much more. Hi, self-awareness, whose truth? I am your host, Rose, and today I have a very, very special guest, and she's going to introduce herself.
Hi, I go by the name of Amazing Amy, and I will be sharing you the power of numbers.
Okay, I met you
February 17th.
Okay, and it was learning so much more about numbers from you that is really mind-blowing. But I want you to tell the audience, how did you know you had this gift? Because it is a gift.
Okay. I will say at the age of 12, I was home with my mom, and she called me and told me to come into the room. She wanted to talk to me about something. I figured off the back it would be about the birds and the bees. But unfortunately, she started hitting me with astrology, started talking about the signs. And as further as I've grown, I started experiencing the connection of me telling about people about the signs and the numbers. And one specific day, I had a couple of friends that I would be in tune with, would be Aries and a Gemini. And the Aries friends were very great friends to me, but I noticed with their ways at times as being fiery and me being water, we would bump heads. So one day, my two Aries friends, we had went to another neighborhood, and Aries came across and stand up and, started speaking about how strong they are and how they wouldn't worry about me getting hurt. So it sounds strange, but it's very fascinating to know how powerful these numbers are as far as being an Aries, a Cancer, a Capricorn, and a Libra. We are the leader signs out of the astrology, meaning that we are very powerful into making judgments on what we are going to do in life. And then you have your fixed signs, who are Scorpio, Leo, Taurus, and Aquarius, and they're fixed in their ways, meaning once they make up their mind, they will not change it.
Wow.
And then you have mutable signs, who are Virgo, Sagittarius, Gemini, and Pisces, and they are the mutable signs. They are the signs that go along with the flow. They are the signs who make great communicators. And then you put all 12 of these signs together out in the world, and this is where you'll come with the mixed behavior of the behavior of people who consider cardinal, fixed, or mutable. As we speak today, this is March 11th, 2013, And the 11th day represents a 2 because you add the 1 and the 1 together, which gives you a 2. And this day represent people who are very good with their business, and they also deal with their emotions. So anybody who would consider being a Cancer or Scorpio or Pisces, we're very elevated with this because we are very emotional signs by nature because we are water signs. Water signs that absorb anything that goes on this earth. And what I mean by that, if it's negative, we can absorb the negativity. If it's positive, we also absorb the positive of the signs.
Well, can you elaborate exactly, because a lot of people think, well, I'm a Virgo, this is a Pisces. They don't understand the difference, like you was explaining to me, has to do with the number of that sign.
Okay, let me go into that. As she stated, she's a Virgo, September 9th. 9 people, anybody on the 9th, the 18th, and the 27th think very highly of themselves. Not only do they think very highly of themselves, they're courageous and bubbly, and they don't give a damn what others think. So this is why you see these 9 people being the way they are, because it's destined for them to be through the number. And they also, as I said, as an earth sign, they're stable and reliable. Earth signs, which consists of the Capricorn, the Taurus, and the Virgo. And if you see the order that I'm giving in, is the order of how the signs work. The Capricorn is considered the cardinal sign, the leader of the earth sign. The Taurus is next in line to lead because it's fixed in his ways. And the Virgo is the third in place, which is mutable. So I just gave you the qualities of each of the earth signs, of why they react the way they do. Now, the number indicates the ability of what these signs can give off. Like if you have a Pisces 9, it would be a little different from a Virgo 9 because a Virgo is an earth sign and a Pisces is a water sign. So that water 9 sign would give off different than that Virgo 9 sign. They would be both the same because they both 9, but they would both give it different because of their element. So that's main important. If you have a water child, you have to be very sensitive with a water sign because we're water. We're nurturing. We need to be talked to very calm, very loving, very caring. Yelling and screaming for a water sign will not work. You will have to humble yourself when you're dealing with a water sign, which is a Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces.
So you would recommend that every mother, parent, when they give birth, have a chart done so they could understand, overstand the soul that they are dealing with. Because when I was raised in the South and came to New York at 12 years old, I always heard in my family and the community that all children are the same. They're just children. And we was taught to treat them the same. And understanding the numbers, the sign, they're not the same. And they're not to be treated the same. And I feel this is the problem with a lot of the children that are rebelling so much and giving the parents such a hard time. And they're letting the system label them as ADD and, you know, all kinds of stuff and being medicated, thinking there's something wrong with them. And the parents just don't understand this child. And like you say, that's who they are.
Right.
According to the numbers, that's who you are.
Right.
So can you kind of elaborate to help the parent understand that more when they're dealing with a child?
Right. Like I said, if you are a fire sign, which will be a Aries, Leo, and a Sag, and who has a water sign, which will be a Cancer, Scorpio, and a Pisces, the 2 elements right there alone doesn't work. Because fire and water don't see eye to eye. Why? Because water put the fire out. So if you have a parent who's a fire parent with a water child, it's not going to be no connection because the 2 elements don't see eye to eye. So this is why 9 out of 10, when you're raising a child of this element, this is why you're having the problem, because there's no connection between your 2. And it's not that the child is being bad or you're not being a great parent. It's just that the 2 elements don't see eye to eye. And this is why we came with this problem with thinking something wrong with your child when there isn't. Every child is different by nature. Every child is different by element. every child is different by number. So if I'm a water sign being raised by a fire sign, and here you have a water sign being raised by a water sign, what child you think will get more of the ground of needing how to work in this world? The fire being raised by the fire sign being raised, the water sign being raised by the fire sign, or the water sign being raised by the water sign? Take time out to think about that. So if you any parent out there that's having trouble with your child, these are the reasons why. Because the two elements are not meeting eye to eye. Same thing with an earth sign, with an air sign. Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo dealing with a Gemini, Aquarius, and Libra. Earth and air doesn't connect. So if you have an earth parent raising an air child, it's going to be confusion amongst those two because the two elements don't see eye to eye. There again, it's not that your child is being bad, it's just no connection amongst the two.
So it's the same thing in mating, you know, getting a boyfriend or getting married, because a lot of people's having a lot of problems in relationship, and they are really with the wrong numbers.
Right.
So can you elaborate on that?
There again, and I always use this as my example. You have Jay-Z, who's born December 4th, a Sagittarius, along with his wife, Beyonce, who's September 4th, a Virgo. Pay attention to this. She's September 4th, he December 4th. That's a match right there, with them both being fours. They got married April, the 4th month. They got married on the 4th day. They got married 2008. 4 and 4 give you 8. 8 represents destiny. They are a perfect match, number-wise, astrology-wise, because the two signs go together. Sagittarius work with Virgo. 7 and 5 go together, meaning Jay-Z is a 7 because he has 7 signs, and Beyonce is a 5 because she has 5 signs. The two numbers go together. And this is how they're able to work in a relationship. Without having a match in a relationship, whether this person comes to you, if there's no match, it will not work later down the line. That's why we have so many angry people out here, because we are not who we're supposed to be with. And I'm trying to educate y'all to know that this is real talk coming from Amazing Amy. You have to be with your match in order to elevate out here in this world.
Well, okay, so you have to help the people, because everybody, you know, they read the newspaper and magazine talking numerologists and, you know, but I don't think they really understand and understand the deep level that you're coming from, because you have me blown away, because I had 3 charts done in my lifetime, which was really good. And a lot of things that was revealed resonated with me. But they didn't went as deep as you. So I'm just thinking, okay, I'm a Virgo, I'm compatible with a Pisces, and I was with a Pisces, but it didn't work. He was a 2, I'm a 9. And you was explaining the difference with the 9 and the lower number, like you broke down the evil, what the, explain that to them, how that whole, the evil numbers and that these characteristics are in that person if that's their number.
Like for instance, you have a person who may be July 4th,
okay,
dealing with a Gemini who's born June 5th. The two numbers don't see eye to eye because one is an even number and one is an odd number. Not saying even and odds don't work, but they have to make sure that the two numbers, that if they are odd and even, that they do work. A 4 and a 9, a 4 and a 5 would not work because a 4 doesn't accommodate how a 5 is and a 5 doesn't accommodate how a 4 is. So off the back, those two numbers wouldn't work, even with you having the match in astrology as the Pisces and the Virgo could work. A Virgo and a Pisces could work on the astrology aspect, but if you don't have the match on the numerology aspect, it's not going to work. As a 5 who thinks quick off their feet and a 4 who's a planner wouldn't work together if a 5 person who thinks quick off their feet with someone who's a 4 who's very secretive or insecure about themselves. How would those two signs work with the two numbers not working? There again, if you have the match on astrology and not the match on the numerology, it's still not going to work. You have to have it on both. A Gemini and a Leo wouldn't work on astrology because the Leo and the Gemini is not they're attracted far as the element-wise because Leo is fire and Gemini is air. So this is why these two signs think they could work because they go together element-wise.
Okay.
But element-wise is not enough to secure the relationship. This is where you come in with knowing the numerology of knowing what works. Now, if you have a Gemini person who's a Gemini 3 dealing with a Cancer 6, that can work even with that 6 being an even number because a 3 and a 6 works. 3 is half of what? 6.
6.
So this is why these two people in a relationship will be able to work even with them being even or odd. But you got to make sure that the two numbers are able to go together in order for the relationship to go forward. And that's what I'm here to talk about today, if anyone's interested or being happy.
Well, you know, the whole thing with the, okay, me, I married a Virgo. I'm the 9th, he was the 29th. And it didn't work. It didn't work at all. So this is what I want people to understand, just because, and I think a lot of time when people meet somebody, they don't even be thinking about numbers and astrology. You know, it's the attraction. Like you say, a man looking at a woman because she got a big butt. Oh, she look pretty. She got money.
Right.
He got a fancy car. And I think this is what attract a lot of people. And then you have people who have low self-esteem, so they want to be with somebody that got a title, money, or, you know, maybe they have a higher self-esteem than them, so they're attracting to that person to feel validated. So it's a lot of attraction is for the wrong reasons. And it works for a while, but like you say, really growth and expand. And do you think when we do find on all levels the right match, is it at some point a relationship can run its course? Or do you just be with that person for the rest of your life?
If the person that comes to you spiritually grounded and surface the same things you do, yes. I do agree. It can. But if you're not having the right number, as you spoke about yourself being a 9, dealing with a 2, a 9 person thinks very highly of themselves. A 2 person deal with their emotions. So off the back, those two numbers are going to clash.
Yeah.
Because a 2 person is very emotional, dealing with a person who's a 9 think very highly of themselves. So the 9 person is not going to take in consideration of filling that emotional person out. So there again, that wouldn't work. So anything that would work with a 2 would be a 7, someone who's private, someone who's very calm, easygoing, and 7 people that worry a lot. As a 2 person who's very emotional, but those two numbers would see eye to eye because they vary feeding off of each other. But a 9 and a 2 person would not work.